Good morning everybody. In today's video we're going to be using a real life example of a Cuckoo Wasp to paint up a squad of Tau Vespids. So for the main colour scheme of the Vespids we're going to be using 4 different colours. For the green we're going to be base coating in Warpstone Glow before doing some highlights with Moot Green. For the blue aspect we're going to be using Sotek Green, and then for the purple we're going to be using Zerus Purple. So our first step then is just going to be a quick all over coat with that Warpstone Glow. With the Warpstone Glow all dry, we're next going to take that Moot Green, and this time around we're going to be spraying this on from a top down motion, so that we're going to be hitting the raised areas where the light will be catching. So things such as the kneecaps, and then like the top of the foot just here, top of the head, shoulder pads, etc. So with that Moot Green all established, we're now going to go into our Sotek Green, and for this colour, we're going to be spraying from a top-down motion, so that way we're going to have our green undertones, followed by our blue on top, and then our purple on top of that. So it's going to be a fairly broad overall highlight with this Sotek Green, but it will just blend nicely into that Moot Green and that Warpstone Glow. And here we are after all of that blue has been established. So you see now we've got this real nice blend between our bright greens and then our more sort of blue green. And then finally our purple. This is just going to be a bit more focused than the blue, and it's just going to really help to give an extra layer of punch and definition. And here we go. So with that purple all established, you see now we've just got this really nice effect from going from our green. We've got some of those blues in there, and then obviously the purples. Now for this one I focused purples primarily on top. You see there we've got quite a lot of purple, but then not really so much underneath. It's still that nice rich green. However, when doing the rest of the box set, we are obviously going to really sort of vary it up. So some of them we might have more blue, some of them might have more purple, some of them might have more green. But really, you know, there's 10 models in the box set. Just sort of like vary it up a bit so that each one is unique. So now that all of those colours have been blocked in, what I've done is given the model a gloss varnish. And this serves 2 purposes. Firstly, it's almost like a save point, so it will now protect all of those different colours that we've done. And secondly, our next step is going to be an all over wash to help tie everything together. So we're going to be using Oblivion Black Wash here, and then we're going to thin it down with some medium. And what the gloss varnish does is it breaks up the surface tension on the model, so therefore the actual wash that we apply acts almost like a oil wash. So it's going to run into all of the recesses. And then because of that surface tension being broken up by the varnish, you won't get any tea staining or pooling actually on the flats of your model. So with that shade all done, you can see it gives us a lot of depth and definition in our model now, and it really helps to make those highlights pop even more. So next up, we need to move on to all of the black details. So that's going to be things like the casing on the gun, the mandibles, and then we're going to be doing a black to grey fade on the wings, so we need to block those in as well. And for all of the black details, we're going to use Doom Death Black. Now that the black has all been base coated in, for all of the weapons, we are now going to give it a round of edge highlights, and that is going to be using Rust Grey. And then for the black on the actual body itself, so things like the claws, etc., we're going to give that a highlight with some Dawnstone. So the reason that we're using these two colors is just quite simply to make the two black details different to each other. You know, one's got a blue highlight and then one's got a grey highlight. When it comes to the wings, what we're going to do is I'm going to be using my airbrush, and I'm going to be spraying the wings at an angle like this. So the ends of the wings are our Dawnstone, and then it will fade up into the black. So with the Rust Grey highlights and the Dawnstone highlights all done, we're now going to give everything a bit of a shade. So for the wings, you can see we've got that nice fade on there, but we have lost a little bit of that depth. So we're going to just give it a shade of Northern Oil. And then on the weapons, you can see we've done some copper on those weapons there. And then on the other types of guns, we've got copper on those bits there, and then on some of the armor panels as well. And for that, we're just going to give it a shade of Agrax. Now that the wings have been shaded, we're just going to use a bright grey. Here I'm going to be using pale grey blue. I'm just going to do a very quick dry brush just to pick out a few highlights. With the dry brushing all done, you can see now that the wings really pop, giving us a really nice highlight. So next up, we've got to do the eyes. So for the eyes, we're going to give them a base coat of any white, and then we're going to go over them with an ink. Now the reason I'm using an ink here is because they are relatively transparent, so the white will actually make the red more enhanced, and then where the white isn't, which is going to be around like the recesses of the eye, that red will be darker, so it gives us a two-tone effect. So after about 2 to 3 passes of that ink, you can see this is the effect we get. So we've got that nice dark red in the recesses, and then where that white was, it is a lot more vivid and bright. And it is exactly the same on all of the other Vespids as well. So now that the eyes are done, we are honestly very close to actually being finished. The only real thing left to do, obviously besides the base, are the teeth. And for that, we're just going to give them a base coat of Ushabti bone, and then a quick wash of Agrax, and then a quick highlight again with that Ushabti bone. With those teeth all painted, every part of the model now is just about done. The only real exception is the base. And a lot of these Vespids in this box have a lot of like a rubble sort of city base. So all I'm going to do, as you can see there, I've added some more rubble onto the base. And we're just going to paint that up like a urban city base. And here we go. Here is the finished Vespids. And you can see now, by having all 10 of them here, you can see that I have added a lot of variety between each and every one. Some have got the blues and the purples on top, others have got more greens, etc, etc. But this is the finished project.